Howdy do, Dave.
How you doing, man?
Much appreciated you coming out and taking the time to.
I love your setup here, man. All the albums and posters and everything, and I mean, it's great.
I appreciate that. It's tough.
And it's great that you got it separate from your house, I assume, so you're not interfering with your family life.
Yeah. Well, all these records were actually in a bedroom.
Yeah.
And it was tight. It was very tight.
I bet.
When you mix in albums, CDs.
Yeah. Do you have cassettes still?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got a pile over there in the corner, and I even have 8 tracks.
Yep.
Yep. Of course, we remember those pretty well.
I remember all that. I remember when you drove in a car, you'd have to put like a matchbook under the tape if it would start skipping. Yeah, kids today have no idea what I'm talking about. But
I was talking to a fellow at work. It was yesterday. He wanted me to ask you a question or poke this out there for you.
I'm scared already.
Oh, don't be. Well, Gage
McFadden.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He goes. He was telling us a story about Led Zeppelin.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. One of my memories of the 70s, concert-wise, was well. Let me start out with. No, I'll start out with Led Zeppelin. Tom Elliott. I don't know if you know Tom. He's an old friend of mine. Big guy. He's been a prison guard and he's a badass. But. We were at Led Zeppelin in mid to late summer 1979, and that's back when they had festival seating, or it was first come first serve. You got there, and if you got there early and you'd fight your way to the front, you were in the front.
General admission.
They called it festival back then for some reason, but Zeppelin was there. It was Riverfront Coliseum, and. We got there at like 3:30. The doors were supposed to open at 6:37. And, there were thousands and thousands of people lined up. And in their infinite wisdom at Riverfront Coliseum, they only had like 4 doors open. Mm-hmm. They had doors all around the place, but they only opened these 4 doors on the side that led over to Riverfront Stadium. And there was a walkway. So we're all jammed in there, and people are pushing. And I remember it got so bad at one point that, like, you had to fight to get your arm up just to cool off because you're just jammed in there. And it was really hot. And at one point there was a police chopper overhead of us, saying, everybody back up, you're getting too crowded, blah, blah, blah. And people were throwing beer cans and beer bottles off the chopper. Just people were out of their minds. I saw a woman pass out and not fall down. She was just moving with the crowd. So finally, and luckily, some dummy that was working inside popped open the door to tell people, hey, it's another hour or whatever. He did that. The door got slammed open, glass broke, and everyone just started pouring in. And I remember I had a flask around my neck, which everyone took to concerts back then. It was this leather flask full of whatever. And some guard grabbed it as I'm running by and just ripped it off my neck. And I had a big mark on my neck for like 2 weeks after that. But anyway, we got down to the front, of course. But I remember telling one of the guards that night, someone's going to die here.
Yeah.
If you guys don't open. Because I remember it wasn't that you were in danger of being trampled. It was you were in danger of being crushed.
Yeah.
Because people were pushing. And I remember falling over and like I'm at an angle to the ground, and there's nothing I can do. There's hundreds of people pushing. But it was fast forward 2 or 3 months, and It was my birthday, December 3rd, 1979. And I'm sure a lot of people claim they were at this show or whatever, or had tickets. But it was December 3rd, 1979. And Tom Elliott, Andy Anderson, a Bainbridge legend, Paint Valley Hall of Famer, who's passed away a few years ago. We met Andy in Frankfurt, and we were going to go to the Who concert in Cincinnati.
I remember when that was all over the news.
And it was my birthday, and before we left, Tom or Andy said, I thought I should tell you, I know we got these tickets. They were only like $8.50 in 1979 or $12.50 or whatever. But they said they were going to have a surprise party for you in at the Cross Keys, I think it was. Mm-hmm. So we talked about it, and we left Andy's house and Andy's wife, and we started for Cincinnati, but we talked ourselves into not going to the Who concert and going to my party.
Yeah.
Went to the party. This is before the internet and all that stuff. Excuse me. And we got back to Andy's house like at 2:30 in the morning, and his wife was sitting cross-legged in front of the TV crying. And what's wrong? And she got up and hugged Andy, and she said, 11 people were killed at the Who concert. I thought you guys were there. And went, what are you talking about? So we actually had tickets for that show and didn't go. And knowing us, we would have been right up front for it. But
you can almost say you dodged a bullet.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
But being at that Led Zeppelin concert a few months before, you can look it up. It was 2 or 3 months before that. I knew something could possibly happen because they just had all these people trying to funnel them into such a small
that was the In Through the Outdoor tour.
Yeah.
And that was the very first time I heard Led Zeppelin. My sister bought that record.
Yeah.
I listened to it and went, oh man, that is such a good record. Was that the first time you seen Led Zeppelin? Or?
That's the first and only time I ever saw them, And
was it worth it though? Other than...
No, they were great.
Really?
Yeah. Other than about getting crushed trying to get in there. But, you never thought anything of it at the time. You just, hey, I got in. I'm right down front, so I was good to go. But when I heard about the Who, I was not surprised at all because it was a disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah. I actually got to see them on the Quadrophenia tour.
Yeah.
And it's been a few years ago, though, but it was really, really good.
And I never saw the Who, never got to see him ever again, but I never saw him, period, because we didn't go that night. But the 70's, man, I was lucky enough. I saw Elton John's Yellow Brick Road tour. I saw the Eagles' Hotel California tour. I used to love the Electric Light Orchestra.
Yellow.
This show they had with the lasers, it was just amazing. I saw them several times.
Now, was their stage set up like Out of the Blue?
Yeah, it was a spaceship.
Spaceship.
It was a big spaceship sitting on the stage, and they had a clock above the stage that started like 30 minutes, then 29, 28, like going down. So you knew right when they were going to come out. And when it came to zero, the top of the spaceship rose up, and they were like in there, like they're
That's
on the stage.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, it was badass. It was really, really good. And ELO rocked, man. That some of those songs, "Do Ya" and "Rock Aria," and some of those songs, they had some hard rock.
I always liked Turn to Stone.
Turn to Stone was great.
Don't Bring Me Down.
Don't Bring Me Down. I saw them 4 years ago, maybe at Nationwide, and they were great. They were great.
Nothing's changed with them.
No. Jeff Lynne, he's a genius.
Still sounds the same, doesn't
Dude's
he?
amazing. Yeah, his voice is underrated.
Yeah.
I've seen McCartney several times, starting back in the 70's, and saw him. I had on the shirt earlier today. I saw him in the spring of 2022 down at the Winston-Salem.
Yeah.
He's pretty cool. I took one of my former players who's like a son to me. And he plays music, plays keyboards, Clay Archer, plays keyboards and guitar and everything. And he's played in several bands, but big Beatles fan.
Yeah.
And loves Grateful Dead. Yeah. He's not a big fan of the Beatles as he is Grateful Dead, but he's a big fan of the Beatles. And I splurged for tickets, and they were expensive, but we got them down. It was in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. We got them down 20 rows back, and it was as fun watching his reaction as it was watching Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
You know, he's watching a Beatle up there singing
Yep.
Let It Be. I mean, you can't put a price on it.
Because what really got me back into vinyl was this lady who me and my wife know. She was working at a gym in Chillicothe. She goes, Dave, you know, I got some records and stuff like that, you know, be interested in buying them or looking at them or whatever. She goes, you know, one thing. I went, what's that? She goes, I seen the Beatles down in Cincinnati. She goes, I actually got pictures of them. I went, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And I believe that was back in the early 60s. You know.
I used to help run the Maryland basketball camps back in the 90s and early 2000s. Mm-hmm. And their announcer was a guy named Johnny Holiday. Great guy. I still talk to him on Facebook. But at their last concert in San Francisco at Candlestick Park, Johnny introduced them. He was the guy that came out on the stage and introduced the Beatles to the crowd, their very last show. Yeah. He got to meet them.
Yeah. It's like at the where they played in New York.
Shea Stadium?
Yes. And it's weird because nowadays, you know, when you go to concerts, you see these huge monitors.
Oh, yeah.
Back in, they really didn't have that.
No.
They just stacked up amps everywhere and just...
They couldn't hear themselves sing. They didn't know. I mean, it was so loud they couldn't hear anything.
Yeah.
But I mean, everyone knows my feelings about the Beatles, but when someone says, oh, the Beatles were overrated or they were a boy band, you know, everything you hear, including the heavy stuff, can go back to them on some level. Like Helter Skelter was one of the first metal songs.
Yeah.
You know, Revolution, you know. Nothing like that had been done before them. So, yeah.
It's crazy.
I love the Beatles.
I mean, you can even put like Chuck Berry.
Yeah.
Little Richard.
Oh, yeah.
I mean...
Well, they learned from those guys. The Beatles learned from Chuck Berry and Little Richard and what's Perkins? What's his name?
Carl Perkins.
Carl Perkins. They loved those guys.
And then you had Elvis right in there.
Elvis, yeah.
It's nuts.
Yeah, it's all tied together, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't downplay the influence all those people had.
Yeah.
And including the Beatles. The Beatles were just the ones who sort of tied it all together and made, you know, they were one of the first bands that had like 4 different guys who sang lead.
Yeah.
You know.
That was very unheard of.
Yeah. Back then, it was the days of Bobby Vinton and Gene Pitney and all these. There was another guy I can't think of, but they were like teen idols, you know.
Yeah.
The Beatles came along and they progressed more from 1963 to 1970 than music has probably progressed since then.
Yes.
I mean, they went from I Want to Hold Your Hand and She Loves You to I Am the Walrus and Day in the Life and all these wild sounds, you know.
Because I know you've probably heard this comparison, Stones or the Beatles.
Yeah.
I mean, me personally, I like the Beatles, but the Stones, man, they just got that.
Yeah, I mean, the Stones were, they started out, and the Beatles wrote their first song.
Yeah.
I Want to Be Your Man.
Yep.
Or they gave it to them. Yeah. But, no, I love the Stones, but they sort of, the songs the Stones were singing in 1965, basically the same thing they're still singing or they wrote 30 years later, but it's great, but it's bluesy rock. You know what I mean?
You could tell where their influences.
Yeah.
You know, that's that Southern.
Yeah. They weren't as experimental as the Beatles were.
Yeah.
The Beatles experimented like crazy.
Oh, they threw it out.
Yeah. But the Stones loved what they loved and they were great at it and they just continued doing it. No, the Stones are great.
Yeah, because I actually compare like the Stones to AC/DC.
Yeah.
Nothing's changed.
No.
They just keep that.
And Mick Jagger inducted, he did the speech for the Beatles to get in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, he was the guy. So they loved each other. Yeah. People back in the day tried to build up a rivalry between them, but they got along. They were great together.
Like when you were in school and stuff, you know, like starting out your freshman year, going up to your senior year and stuff. What was a musical type landscape that what you guys as a whole were listening to?
Well, I listened when I was a freshman in 1970 in high school. My sister I was listening to one of those people, I was like Al Martino or somebody on my mom and dad's stereo system, which was like the size of this table, you know, and you put the top up and it had all these cool knobs on it and everything.
Yeah, my grandma had one.
And I'd drop an album on and listen to it. And my sister Karen, my late sister Karen, who's, you know, her birthday was October 4th. Yeah. I miss her every day. But she, you know, she was 8 years older than me, and I looked up to her so much. And she came walking into the house as I'm listening to, who's a Bobby Vinton or Al Martin, one of these guys. And she just took the album off the stereo. And I was like, what are you doing? She said, just listen. And she dropped Introducing the Beatles on there. And the first song was I Saw Her Standing There.
That was it.
Like 1, 2, 3. Well, she was just 17, if you know what I mean. And it was like aliens had landed on Earth and were singing someday. If you weren't a part of it, the problem is everything you've listened to, and I sound like some old guy now, but everything you've listened to and everything anyone's ever listened to since, the Beatles don't sound shocking to you because everything's related. Everyone's been copying them on some level since then.
Yeah.
At the time, you'd never heard it before.
Yeah.
And it was shocking. Twist and Shout. What the heck? What am I listening to?
Yeah.
I mean,
and Happy Birthday.
Oh,
who would ever?
Yeah, and Lennon had this kind of nasally voice, and McCartney had this sweet kind of voice. And when they harmonized,
they were so good.
Oh, it was heaven.
They were so good.
Yeah, yeah, amazing. Yeah. But the time I got to high school, back to your question. 1970, 71 was the height of, Led Zeppelin and, like you said, The Who. The Beatles had just broken up.
Yeah.
So people were looking for something new. Like Elton John was just breaking through. So those bands, it was a glorious time musically. But the first show I ever went to was at Kings Island, and they had a senior night, and it was... They didn't understand how big senior night was going to be back then. So they invited every high school in the state. Yeah. And it was way, way too many people.
Mayhem.
After that, they started sectioning it off like northwestern Ohio, then do it that way. But that first year, every high school, or most of the high schools in the state were down there. And I'd never seen a live show before. And I was a senior in high school, never seen a live show.
And this was 74?
It was spring of 74. And the opening band was Redbone, who sang Come and Get My Love, a Native American band. They'd come out in full Indian regalia, doing this Indian music. Then they'd kick into.
They were really good.
They were great.
Yep.
Everyone's heard Come and Get My Love, but if you haven't heard Wovoka, it's kind of an Indian related or Native American related song. Amazing. Yeah. But then Brownsville Station came out. the original Smoking in the Boys Room.
A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, the original. And Cub Coda was the lead singer.
Yeah.
Henry H. Baum Weck was on drums. And we were, of course...
The name says it all.
We were right down front. I had some girl on my shoulders that I'd met from another school down around Cincinnati. But they just blew the roof off the place, and I was forever hooked. And from that point on, I just started going to shows, and I'm still going now.
Was that the only bands that showed up at that?
Yeah, they were the only bands that night. Yeah, Redbone followed by Brownsville Station. But it was a great, great show.
Yeah, because back in Illinois, it seems like the music had a lot more, I don't know, the meaning to it. You know what I mean? Because nowadays it seems like it's so factory, just...
Yeah, well, a lot of it's prepackaged now, and they... I mean, I love all music. I went to see Post Malone last year, and he was great.
Have you heard his new one yet? His country album?
Yeah, yeah.
It's really good.
It's good. I
It's
mean,
really-
the guy, it's not all autotune and stuff. I mean, he can sing.
Yeah.
He played guitar and sang without the autotune. He's beautiful music.
Mm-hmm.
But back then, music was more. It was real.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of the stuff they did in the studio was just recorded live. Like the Beatles did a lot of their songs in 1 or 2 takes.
Yeah.
Nowadays, they'll spend 9 months on an album, sometimes longer. Boston, your shirt. They would spend years, like, because they wanted to get it exactly right. And it turned out great,
Yes.
but there was something about that live feel to it, you know.
Did you ever get a chance to see Boston?
Never saw them. And they were in Athens. They were at OU one time, and I missed it. They were in Athens in the late 70s, early 80s, and I missed it.
That would have been a good one.
Yeah, they were at the Convocation Center, and I regret that.
Who would you say was probably the best concert you'd ever seen?
Oh man,
I mean, you've seen Zeppelin, you've seen Elton John back then. I mean,
I've seen Paul McCartney. I've seen Peter Frampton back in his heyday. That was a great show.
Frampton Comes Alive, still one of the best live albums.
They're not new now. They've been around 30 years, but there's a band called the Eels that are great. They're kind of Beatle influenced. And they're huge in Europe.
Yeah.
But I was at the Tangerine Bowl in Florida for the Frampton Comes Alive tour, and Rick Derringer opened. Amazing. That dude, if you've never heard him play guitar,
He's a criminally underrated.
he's amazing. So he comes out for like 40 minutes or whatever. Kansas comes out, and this is the height of their popularity. They were terrible.
Really?
They were all stoned or on something, and people were throwing stuff on stage. They leave after halfway through their third song. So there's an hour and a half before Frampton's coming out. So Rick Derringer comes back out just to fill the spot. Mm-hmm. And he starts playing. I remember he did Born to Run. He did Louie Louie. He's doing all these covers just to fill the time.
People probably loved it.
Oh, we were going crazy. Frampton comes out, and he was so appreciative of Rick Derringer. Like, he had Rick Derringer come out for the last half hour of his show.
That's pretty cool.
To play, yeah. And it was really, really cool. Mm-hmm. Like I said, Eagles, Hotel California tour. Chicago was great before they got all sappy in the early 80s. When they used to rock with the horns and everything, they were amazing.
Because me and my friend, I don't know if you watched it, we were talking about Chicago.
Yeah.
About Terry Kath.
Yeah. That was the end of them.
Yes.
Because I've read all about Chicago and all these other bands, but Terry Kath, Hendrix came to watch them play. Have you heard this story?
Yes, I have.
And they said, who do you think's the greatest guitarist after you? And he said, the greatest guitarist is right there playing for you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, he loved him.
He could play anything.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah. But I don't know. I've seen a lot of people. Probably McCartney, I would guess, just because
He's a Beatle.
there's a Beatle on the stage. I went to a show. I've seen him a bunch, but I saw him at, I think it was Cleveland. Mm-hmm. And I think Craig Kearns went with me, who played for me, and he's a principal over at Huntington now. Yeah. But you remember Craig.
Yeah.
But some guy comes and sits down, and we have pretty good seats, and he's got pink hair, and he's
jazzed up.
Yeah, tats on his face and neck, and he was had piercings everywhere. And I thought he was on something.
Yeah.
And he was kind of leaning back and forth, after Paul came out. And I said, "You okay, man? Is everything all right?" And he said, "I can't believe he's right there."
Yeah.
I'm looking at Paul McCartney. He's in the same room I'm in.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how you feel when you see Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
And he sings Hey Jude or Helter Skelter or one of these songs, and you've heard it a million times, and he's right there in front of you. It's
a different feel.
Yeah.
You know, when you actually hear someone sing this song that you've heard a million times.
Meant so much to you over the years.
Yeah.
I'd have to probably put Paul at the top, but I've got a ton of stories, so bear with me.
Oh, I'm fine.
I saw Elton John during the Yellow Brick Road tour. It was 73 or 4. And we had really bad seats, my girlfriend and I. We were way back up in the top. And 3/4 of the way through the show, Elton says, I want to say hi to my collaborator, Bernie Taupin, the guy who writes the songs. And I think Bernie wrote the lyrics and Elton did the melodies, or I think that's it. But he said he likes to sit up in the crowd with the regular people, so I want to say hi to him. Next thing I know, a spotlight is right behind us, and Bernie Taupin is sitting right behind my girlfriend and I.
That's pretty cool.
The next row back. And I shook his hand and told him how much I loved it, what he did and all that stuff. But
a lyricist, unbelievable.
Yeah, he was amazing. He was amazing.
Yes.
Never saw Queen. That's one I missed.
It was I was in Apollo Records one day, and there was this older fella in there, and he was talking about Queen. I said, "You ever see Queen?" He goes, "Oh yeah." Because I've seen him a couple times. See him at the Algora, which is Newport now,
Oh my God.
He said he's seen AC/DC on their first 2 U.S. tours at the Algora, and Queen. I said, "How was it?" He goes, "Even to this day, Queen is the best show he had ever seen before."
Freddie's voice. I mean, come on.
That's...
And the guitar. But my son Kip, he's 36 now. But when he was younger, I tried to make sure I took him to see a lot of the bands that he needed to see before they were gone.
Yeah.
So, I took him to AC/DC, Paul McCartney, the Eels, who I mentioned before, Green Day. Took him to Green Day. They were great. I've taken him to several bands that even if he wasn't crazy about them, I just know you got to see these guys, You
may not like them, but you may appreciate them.
Yeah. I want you to be able to say you saw these guys,
Yeah, because that's how it was. I think it was 2008. And told my daughter, I said, "I got tickets to go see Motorhead." I don't know if you're familiar.
Yeah.
And we went and seen him. She goes, "I hope the drummer does that drum solo." Well, lo and behold, Mickey D come out there. When you see him walk out in his headphones, sit down, I told her, I said, it's going to happen. Yeah. And that was her very first concert.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that was that.
That's a good one.
And that was at Newport.
Jeez.
And it was funny because, it was during that time when they had the smoking ban inside. Mm-hmm. Well, Lemmy comes out. He's smoking a cigarette. He goes, "Oh, shit. That's right." And he throws it down, stomps on it.
Yeah.
Then, of course, he proceeds to go, "We are Motorhead. We play rock and roll." And da-da-da, I don't know if you ever got a chance to see him when they were...
Never did. I've seen Metallica and a couple others, but my musical tastes are pretty eclectic. Like, I was really into the alternative bands of the 80s and 90s. I saw the Lemonheads last week with Evan Dando.
Oh, really?
Oh, they were incredible. This friend of mine that went with me, we were just stunned. We saw them in Scully's in Columbus. It's like the Newport. It's a little...
No hole in the wall.
It smells like piss and beer and marijuana. It smells like rock and roll.
Smells like the Newport.
Yep. And, but yeah, they were great. One of the best shows I ever saw was Paul Westerberg. He was the lead singer of The Replacements back in the 80s, who were alt band.
Yep.
He had a cigarette hanging out of his mouth, and he was yelling at roadies. And one time he was on his back playing. But to me, that's rock and roll, man. Yeah. I started, my buddy Goose and I, he's got the same, he's a Goose Gossett. He might be related. And your wife a Gossett?
Yes.
Yeah.
It might be.
Tim Gossett, he's from Greenfield. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I used to teach with him back in the day. But we first saw REM in Springfield High School gymnasium. And the lead singer, Michael Stipe, would like have his back to the audience half the time because he was so shy.
Yeah.
And he'd be back behind the drums. And there was probably 50 people on the gym floor, and no one was even in the crowd. And fast forward 18 years or so, I saw him at Blossom, and of course there was jam packed and
Thousands.
and he was out shimmying and doing all this stuff in front of the crowd. But I love, I like R&B. I saw this. I've seen the stylistics and the main ingredient and all. You probably don't even know these bands.
Yeah.
They're 70s bands.
Yes.
I just like music, know. So
I mean, that's about how my collection is.
Yeah.
I have everything. I got opera.
Yeah.
I mean, I have
classical. I listen to Tchaikovsky sometime. It depends on my mood. Like if I'm cleaning my house or something, put on Tchaikovsky, or maybe it'll be, some heavier band.
Yeah.
But it depends on the mood I'm in.
Yeah. I totally get it.
I'm not a huge country guy, but I like some country. I like the older country. I like Hank, original Hank Williams, Hank Jr., some of that stuff. Just depends.
Yeah, I got a little bit of that stuff myself.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not embarrassed by any of it.
Oh, me neither.
No.
I mean, they always say, what's your go-to or whatever, like that, when I like ABBA, dude.
Yeah.
ABBA kills.
You probably don't remember these guys. I love the Osmond Brothers from the early 70s.
Wild Horses. That song is heavy, dude.
It's a great song, man. Down by the lazy river. I mean, those guys could rock. Yeah. I love Wild Horses.
Yeah.
I always told...
It was just funny because I was watching that video. There's like 3 or 4 different...
Where they're dancing. Yeah.
And he goes, wow, wow.
That's Donny Osmond on the woo-woo machine, they called it. Yeah. But no, they were great. A friend of mine used to coach over at Lynchburg Clay. They're the Mustangs.
Yeah.
And I always told him that they should come out to Wild Horses. Can you imagine the basketball team coming out and it'd be great.
It surprised a lot of people. People go, I've heard that song before, but I cannot put a finger on it.
No, I mean, I like a lot of, I like Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
You watch him in concert, I mean, you'd be an idiot not to recognize his talent.
You ever see him or?
No.
Because you know how it was back in the 80s. It would probably been almost impossible.
Oh, yeah. And, just ignoring all the other crap that came along with him later. You could not ignore the guy's talent.
No.
Good Lord.
He could sing. Yeah. He could sing really well.
I took my mom to see Kenny Rogers back in the 80s. Yeah. It was her birthday, and it was a surprise. And it was a great show. Yeah. I enjoy good performers, good music, you know. I try not to judge anybody, lest I be judged. I don't want that to happen.
Do you see a lot of shows back in the 80s and stuff like that?
Yeah, mainly in the 80s, it was... like I said, alternative stuff, like REM, Westerberg.
Now, when you seen REM at the, had they released a record yet?
Yeah, it was, I think it was 85, so they'd released, they had an EP, and then they had Murmur.
Yeah. Their
first full album. They might have even had Fables of the Reconstruction out then, but they weren't real widely known.
Yeah.
They were like what they used to call a college radio station band.
Yeah.
An alternative band that college, kids listen to. But, I loved them from the beginning. They always reminded me of the Byrds or Tom Petty with their jangly guitar. Yeah. Peter Buck was their guitarist. Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know back in the 80s, that was 87, first time I went and seen a concert.
Yeah.
Went and seen Iron Maiden. And that was at the Ohio Center. That's back when.
Wow.
Yeah.
The Ohio Center.
Yep. Yeah, I've seen quite a few shows there.
That's a fairly small venue, isn't it?
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where they have the Arnold now every year.
Okay.
Right there on the right-hand side.
Gotcha. I don't know if I've ever seen a show there.
Yeah, I've seen Kiss, Ted Nugent there.
Well, it must be big then. It must be bigger than I'm thinking.
Yeah, it was pretty good size.
Yeah.
Maybe 4,000 people.
Yeah.
Give or take, I wasn't familiar about the size of.
My favorite venue now is the Rose Music Center in Dayton, not Shaker Heights. That's Cleveland. Huber Heights.
Huber Heights.
it's outside, but it's all underneath,
Yeah.
and it's like 4,200 people, and there's not a bad seat.
Yeah.
Like Riverbend, you end up just watching the screens,
Yeah.
because you can't see because
Yeah.
of all the poles and everything. But there's nothing like that at Rose. Every seat is good. There's no lawn seating. Every seat is great.
Yeah, I only been to Riverbend once. Went and seen Iron Maiden there. And that sounds like a shock. It seems like I've seen him in Indianapolis with Alice Cooper opening, which was phenomenal.
I saw Alanis Morissette there a couple of months ago.
Oh, did you?
And Joan Jett opened for her.
Yeah.
And the first singer was Morgan. She's a country girl, all tatted up, real heavy outlaw country girl. Morgan something.
Yeah,
Morgan Day or something.
Yeah, my wife was telling me about how much.
She's great.
Yeah, how she sounds like the old.
Yeah.
She's got that.
Speaking of guilty pleasures, I went to see Nickelback about a year ago at Riverbend.
Pretty good.
I'm telling you, man, they're great live.
Yeah.
And I don't know why people have all the hate for the guy. I mean, they rock. I mean, they're good. They're great.
Well,
And Brantley Gilbert opened for him. This heavy metal country guy. I don't know if you know him, but he's like heavy.
Is he?
You'd like him. Brantley Gilbert, you got to check him out. He's really good.
I mean, I've heard his name floating around for quite a few years now, and I've never realized okay, he's just that new country.
But he's no, he's heavy, and he tours like he toured with Nickelback. He's toured with other heavy bands before, because he wants to get his music out to the heavier side of music.
Well, that's the way to do it.
Yeah,
the tour of bands like that.
Everyone was like, "Whoa, this dude can do it." Yeah, he was great.
But I think the whole Nickelback hate came from they'd had the heavy songs, then they'd had the sappy songs.
Yeah,
it's like, who cares?
To me, music is like artwork. It's like a painting.
Yes.
Like you walk into a museum and look at artwork. Like you may look at a painting and go, it's not for me. But to me, it might. No, I like that.
Yeah.
You can't judge somebody for if they like art.
Yep.
I mean,
it's subjective, anyways.
Yeah, 100%. It makes no sense to me. Oh, I hate that kind of music. Well,
okay,
that's fine. You don't have to like it, but don't judge me for not liking it or for liking it. I mean, yeah. I mean,
I've never.
And there's. Oh, I'm sorry. There's people. All these people that complain. I guarantee you, they're driving down the road and.
They're listening.
Some song comes on and they turn it up and they listen to it if nobody's with them.
Oh, you know it
because they like it. They just don't want to admit it to their buddies.
It's funny because me and Paul Ramey and Bill yesterday we were talking. Well, me and Paul were talking about Culture Club. Back in, I was listening to Iron Maiden, Slayer, Exodus, stuff like that.
Yeah,
I'd hear that Culture Club and it's like, not my thing. I listen to it now. It's like, as you get older, Well,
when you're younger, you're trying to please your buddies and your friends. When you get older, you don't give a damn. You just listen to what you like.
Yeah. Well, that's how I was in high school.
Yeah.
Because I was listening to stuff like SOD, which is, I don't know if you're familiar, Stormtroopers of Death. They're basically.
Heard of them.
Yeah, they were just a couple bands got together with a big old hefty lead singer. There's like a hardcore band. This was released in '84. I was listening to that stuff.
Yeah.
People, why you listen to that for? It's trash. And what, dude? You listen to Poison.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Exactly. My cousin Mel Weatherhead, we used to listen to music all the time. He would get so mad at me because if it wasn't heavy, he didn't want to hear it. He didn't want to know about me listening to the Cornelius Brothers and Sister Rose or some R&B band. He didn't want to hear it. And I go, hey, that's what I like. Doesn't make me a bad person because I like that music.
No, it doesn't.
No,
it's like we went and seen the Van Gogh exhibit they had up in Columbus.
Oh yeah,
it was really good. I heard this one song because I've heard it in like mob movies. I was asking a lady. I said, who sings that song? She goes, which one? I says, the lady, Edith Piaf.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know her.
Well, I came home, got on Amazon, and ordered her greatest hits on vinyl. It's so good.
Yeah.
And there's actually a movie about her life. I ended up buying the movie. It's out there because of what she went through. Mm-hmm. Like her dad pimped her out on the street to sing, but he took the money from her, wouldn't give her a dime. Well, this one guy walked by and goes, "I like your voice. You're coming with me." It made her, and she just took off.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
It's a really good movie.
That's great.
Yeah.
What's it called? You remember?
No.
I'll look it up. That's okay.
Yeah, it's all in subtitles.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. So I actually like movies like that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's cool. Okay, now I'm interested. I'll check it out.
But yeah, I mean, her voice just alone, man, it was because the song that was being played. I don't know Italian.
Yeah.
But it's about love going wrong, and you're trying to rekindle that
Stuff that everyone can relate to.
Yeah.
Right.
And and the way she sings it in Italian, makes it a lot worse.
The great thing about music, Dave, is I can't tell you how many times I've heard a song and you'll be feeling like you'll be down about something or feeling like I'm alone here, know. No one really gets what I'm going through. And you'll hear a song and you'll go, they know exactly how I'm feeling right now.
Yeah.
They feel what I'm feeling.
Mm-hmm.
That's what music does.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And it makes you feel better because someone else understands.
They get it.
Right?
They understand.
Yeah, 100%.
And not at that time, which is weird,
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking about Queen earlier. I like to do this. People come in, stuff, like what I did with Bill yesterday. I pull out records.
Yeah.
Try to maybe give your thoughts
Yeah.
on this and that, see what you think. But yeah. The first Queen record.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. Did you see the movie where the story of the half of the microphone where it broke off and he just went with it?
That's a great
Keep
movie.
Yourself Alive. That's a great opener.
Yes.
My Fairy King. So good. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love that movie. You have this. My Lord.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's funny because you were asking me about my Uncle Mike and stuff.
Yeah.
This was, my gosh, probably around, this was back in the early 80s. He goes, "Dave, you want my old records?" I said, "Your old records?" I'm like, yeah.
Mike did this?
Yeah. This was one of them. This record here. Now had Pink Floyd, Metal, that was in there, and a bunch of others.
Mike was into music back in the day.
Yeah.
He and you don't, if you know Mike, you don't really think of him that way, but he was living in the apartments there as you come up the hill into Chillicothe on the left. This was the late 70s. And he was, what was he, 7 years older than me or something.
Yeah.
But he was living alone there. And me and a couple buddies, we were hanging out with Mike. And he said, "Hey, I want you to hear this. A good new band." And it was the Cars.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of the Cars. Yep. And so he was into the new stuff and everything. Yeah. Man, Mike, that's good. Yeah. He dated my sister for a while. And my sister Sarah, and when I see him now, he was my principal at Paint Valley for a while.
Yeah.
Great principal, great guy. We always talk about he was backing out of my driveway and hit my dad's car that was in the driveway. And he was terrified because Dad could be intimidating. But everything turned out okay. But yeah, Mike's a good guy.
Yeah.
But he's more into music than people would think.
Yeah. But yeah, he gave me probably a stack of records about like that.
That's great.
I listened to the bejesus out of them.
See, that's the thing with me. I could never give away an album or any of my records or any of my books. Every book I've ever read, I have them in my library at home.
Yeah.
I just feel a connection. I want to hold on to them. I don't want to give them away for some reason. Maybe I'm selfish. I don't know. But I could never give away music or books. Couldn't do it.
About the same way.
Unless it was my son, I
Yeah.
could give it to him or my granddaughters.
Yeah.
But yeah, it means it's too important to me,
Yeah. Some other good ones here, I believe.
All right.
Yeah, you were talking about this band.
Oh, you got the Out of the Blue double album.
Yep.
I was at Ohio State. I'm assuming you want to hear
Sure.
observations.
Yes.
I was at Ohio State, living at 178 West 8th Avenue, apartment C. It was the top floor with my old friend Jed Free, who lives. His dad managed the bank, the Rockhold Brown Bank. He lives across 50 right down here. Jed still does, but big ELO guy, and this came out and blew me away.
Yeah.
Jeff Lynne went to a chateau in Switzerland and just hid for like 3 months and wrote all these songs on this side of this mountain.
Yeah.
And had his guitar and his synthesizer and stuff and wrote them all out. But I saw the tour the following year, and it's the one where like we talked about,
spaceship.
where the spaceship rose up and they had to count down and everything. But I absolutely loved ELO. There's a couple, like The Whale is an instrumental that's great. Night in the City, Standing in the Rain. Oh, these are great songs. Jungle was a great song. Amazing.
It's weird because back then I believe my sister got this on 8-track. I listened to it like crazy. And another one, it was Jefferson Starship, Freedom at Point Zero.
Oh, I love that album.
That's still one of my favorite records of theirs.
What's
ever.
What's the big song?
Jane.
Well, Jane was the hit, but Freedom at Point Zero was a song.
Yeah, that song's
great,
good.
Great song,
So
man.
good.
Yeah.
I mean, even back in, you look at this cover. I mean, if you're walking in a record store and you see that cover, it's like, man, what the hell?
Yeah.
It's like, man, I'm gonna have to give this a listen to.
This was about the time when I quit buying LPs and started buying tapes, because I was still buying LPs pretty much exclusively with this one. But I had had the Billy Joel album Stranger.
Yes.
It had just come out, and I was dating a girl and living at 178 West 8th Avenue, and that was our album, and it was playing one night, and I broke up with her, and let's just say that album is not around anymore because she's ripped it off the turntable and split it, like, busted it over the coffee table.
Man, I figure records back in were just like paper thin.
Oh, and
Paper thin.
kids now, I don't know, I sound like the old guy, get off my lawn guy, but
It's all right.
you would play, and you had this special spray to put on the albums because dust would collect on the needle.
Yep.
And you'd have to pick up the needle, and the thing to do back then, you'd use your tongue to get to clean off the needle. Mm-hmm. And you'd have to do it a couple times during a whole side. But what I hate about music now is back then you listened to the entire album.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you had to get up and take the needle off and switch it or whatever. So you just listened to the whole thing. How many times have you heard some song on the B side of an album? Didn't mean much to you, but after hearing it 4 or 5 times, no, that's good.
Yeah.
No, you like that. Well, nowadays they just download. If they don't like it, they discard it, and you never give yourself that chance to appreciate it.
Yes.
I hate that.
I'm not a big, because I give my daughter complete hell. She loves the stream.
Yeah.
I told her, I said, I don't like it. I get the simplicity of it. I understand it.
Yeah.
I don't think you're getting the full effect.
No.
You're not getting the full effect of it.
No.
But that's just me.
I can't tell you how many times some song after a few plays, really grew on me. Ended up being one of my favorite songs.
Yes.
But it took a few listens.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
You know, sadly.
It's like I know a lot of people ask me what my favorite Rainbow records is. I don't know if you're familiar with Rainbow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know there.
Ben Out of Shape, that record.
Yeah.
You know, it's got Street of Dreams on it. It's a good record. Yeah. It's a criminally underrated record in their whole catalog. It's really good, man. That was the one. I think it was released in '83.
I need to revisit that.
Yeah, it's really good. I'm corny when it comes to that type of stuff, but that was one of the first things I gotten on CD when CDs first came out was that record.
Yeah,
and it still sounds phenomenal today.
I remember the minute I first saw a CD. I was coaching junior high basketball at Greenfield McLean, and Matt Unger, who's now the superintendent at Adena, he always had all the new stuff. And we're getting ready to go to a game or something, and he pulls out this CD, and I went,
"What the hell's that?"
I went, what is that? He said, it's a new way to listen to music, you know. Cassettes are going to be out. Everybody's going to be listening to these. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? I didn't know what he was looking at. But he was right.
Yeah. Who knew?
Yeah, not me.
Because, you know, being a lot younger,
Yeah.
you know, we were right there,
Yeah.
you know.
Quick story about CDs. Of course, you had to buy all your favorite music. You had to rebuy it on CD because CD players came out, and if all you had were cassettes or tapes or LP, you know, you had to have it on CD because that was a new thing. So you were buying all the new stuff, and all these bands were coming out with box sets of all their new stuff. Well, John Kay of Steppenwolf.
Yeah.
I saw this on one of those Back to the Music or whatever things. He and his band had been going at it, arguing about their music because his band wanted to tour as Steppenwolf. And he didn't want to do it because he started the band.
Yeah.
And John Kay was originally from Germany, badass. He sang Born to Be Wild and all those songs. But they came to a deal, and he said, okay, him and his attorney said, you can tour as Steppenwolf, but I'm going to get all the new residuals, all the money from us selling our music. Well, they weren't selling music in 1983. It was years since they'd had a hit or anything. So they agreed to it because they wanted to tour as Steppenwolf. CDs came out, and everyone started buying Steppenwolf music.
Blew up.
Yep. And
he knew.
And the band was going, no, can we revisit this? And he was going, nope, the deal's a deal. And he got all the money from the CD sales of Steppenwolf.
It was weird because I don't know if this is true or not, but I was watching a YouTube video. You know how all that stuff could get on. I guess CDs have been around since early 60s, if not.
I didn't know that.
It's a government thing.
Not shocked. First one I saw was like 1985.
Yeah. Of course, you know, they do their thing, whatever they do.
Yeah.
Which is.
But yeah, I forget what I was going to say, but.
Here's one that's probably going to really rip you up.
I know what it is before you. I just saw the back of it. Yeah. Cheech and Chong. Is this Up in Smoke? Or is that the. No. Oh my God! When I was in high school, this band or these guys were
hilarious.
Oh my God!
Hilarious.
We'd listen to him in the morning during homeroom. They're still out there doing stuff.
Yeah.
They have a big gummy company where they're making a bunch of money. No, the movie was Up in Smoke. It was so good. It was so good. No, that's a classic.
I forget what was the name of that one? Blind Men Chillin'. If anybody's never heard of that, you know, punch it up on YouTube. It is funny.
But this is back when smoking weed could get you 30 years in prison. You know what I mean? They were out there doing it in movies and stuff. Yeah, they were great.
They're fun. They're funny guys too.
Yeah, for sure.
There's that one. And if you're familiar with
Oh,
Sweet,
yeah, Sweet. Oh, crap. Sorry.
it's all right.
Yeah, Sweet. Ballroom Blitz.
Yeah.
This is a great one to have.
Yeah.
Fox on the Run, Ballroom Blitz. Yeah. Never saw Sweet.
And they were really good. I mean, they released a ton of records.
No, they were technically,
Yeah.
they could play.
Yep.
Solid gold brass, I remember that.
Yep.
Brian Connolly on lead. Oh, yeah.
I think the guitarist is the only one still alive.
That's sad.
And he's still out there, you know, touring and stuff, you know,
Yeah.
doing his thing.
And that's the thing. I remember playing Ballroom Blitz for a bunch of 8th graders 15 years ago, and they loved it. They loved it.
What, the Sweet version of it?
Yeah. Yeah.
With the beginning?
Yeah. Good music is good music, man.
Yeah.
No,
That's good
awesome.
they actually appreciate
they do.
it. Yeah, I think it's that guy's still alive.
When I taught at Greenfield McLean in the 80s, then Paint Valley in the 90s, I was pretty sure I was one of the first teachers to play music during class.
Yeah.
Like when we would have a test or seat work or something, I'd play music. And some people would think, oh, they're going to go nuts if you do that. Actually, they settled down and became focused when music was playing.
Yeah.
But I would play REM, the Replacements, the Beatles, the Byrds, all these bands, Zeppelin, that these kids didn't know about. And most of the kids would be going, you know, what's that? But there was always 2 or 3 kids that came up after class and going, hey, can you make me a copy of that? Like, you know, they appreciated it.
Yeah.
They liked it.
They got it.
Yeah,
understood.
they understood it. I went, absolutely.
But yeah, I remember this back in the 80s, I had this on cassette. Just listen to it. I mean, it's such a good record.
Yeah, it's great.
Can't beat it.
No,
You can't beat it.
no, it's amazing.
Speaking of Rainbow,
Uh-oh.
I don't know if you're familiar with that one.
I remember the album. Yeah, I remember seeing the album. Richie Blackmore. Now, who else was he with? Richie Blackmore?
Deep Purple.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Duh.
But yeah, that is the very first record with Ronnie James Dio as the lead singer.
Dude, it was amazing.
Because it's weird because that group Elf, they toured with Deep Purple back in the day. Well, one thing led to another. This is based. I've had people tell me I'm absolutely nuts about this, but it's actually an Elf record with Richie Blackmore as a guest.
Yeah,
You know?
I think you're right.
Yeah. But it's a phenomenal record.
See,
man.
kids don't understand. Again, I sound like an old guy. You would get an album back in the day, and you'd peel off the
plastic.
the cellophane,
Yes.
and sometimes if it was a double album,
Yeah.
you'd open it up, and there's all this information, lyrics, and you'd look to see who produced it and all that stuff.
Well, just like this here, this is a gatefold.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, you pull it out. Well,
Yeah.
And then you have this.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You get to see.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah. Remember Todd Rundgren, one of my favorite albums of all time is his 72 album, Something Anything.
yes.
And he had all these lyrics and pictures on the inside. It was a double album. Mm-hmm. One side was all live stuff. They just started recording, and he played for like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Loved it. But that's when they knew how to make album covers back then.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't none of this computer.
No.
This is actual.
Yeah.
That's an actual painting.
Yeah.
And this here is from '75.
That's amazing.
I mean, it's
amazing.
a great record.
I think I have that record somewhere.
I don't doubt.
Yeah.
Here's one. Might throw you for a loop.
Oh, I keep hitting the microphone. I do not know who this is.
I gotcha.
Romantic Warrior?
Yes.
Never heard of the band.
Well, that's not the name of it. Well, it's After Forever. It's right, Forever After.
What's the name of the band?
Should be right up here.
Romantic Warrior?
No.
Or Return to Forever?
That's it.
Never heard of them. Is it anybody I know in the band? Chick Corea produced it.
Yep. He's in the band as well.
Stanley Clark is an assistant producer.
Yeah.
He's a legend. Wow. Chick Corea is a legend.
Yeah.
Lenny White, drummer. Yeah. I know all these guys.
That's like the who's who, basically.
You did get me. I've never heard of that band before. Never heard of it, but I'm going to be looking it up when I get home. Stanley Clark on alembic bass with instant flanger, piccolo bass, acoustic bass, Beale Tree, and the handbells. That's amazing. That's cool, man.
I'm glad I got you.
You did get me.
I'm glad I got you.
You got me.
Because I know you've heard everything.
Yeah.
But
Not that.
it's a phenomenal record. I mean,
I'm going to check it out.
of course, you see who's on this.
Oh, it's got to be good.
So, but yeah,
Got to be good.
This was part of that I was telling you about the lady I bought records off of.
Mm-hmm.
That was at the gym and stuff like that. This was part of it. I was like, man, it's a cool cover.
Yeah.
I put that on. I mean, it's just, it's phenomenal.
Back in the day, back in the late 70s, early 80s, the only place you could buy music was like at Kmart or places like that. So I used to go to like the Hart store there in Chillicothe.
Yes.
So I used to go to High Street. It was the gloriously named Magnolia Thunder Pussy. That's where they had.
Been there a few times.
And they had all the stuff you couldn't find anywhere else.
Yeah.
That's where you found a lot of the REM and the replacements and all this kind of underground music. Because otherwise you couldn't find it. You know, there was no internet, there was no downloading music. You had to really search for stuff you liked. And back then, like I had a group of friends that we'd swap. You know, someone say, "Hey, you got to listen to this and give me a cassette."
It all runs around circles.
You got to give me a cassette, and it would be handwritten. You know, you got to hear this, and that's how you learned about new music.
Yes,
it was beautiful.
Because that's what we did back in. Because we'd make mixtapes for each other.
Oh yeah, mixtapes were great.
And it's like, man, what's that one song? Like a third song on side two.
Yeah.
It's like, man, I don't know, because I just threw a bunch of tunes in there.
I have kids still talking to me about. I used to make a shoe mix at the end of the school year, like from the mid '80s to 2000, and it was all the kind of hard to find songs that I liked, and I'd make them for kids, and like pass them out to a bunch of kids, and they still talk to me about it.
That's good.
They still listen to it.
And, and it still sticks with them.
Yeah.
You know,
because they hadn't heard this stuff before.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, here's a.
I just tried to spread the word. You know.
If you're
Oh, I know what this is. Oh, yeah. You know what? I remember Jeff Beck was a legend, man.
Killer guitar player.
Oh, he's amazing. Yeah, he's amazing. But I have not seen this album for years.
Yeah.
I remember it, but I have not seen it for years.
Yeah.
Wow, Jeff Beck. Yeah.
Yeah, because I went digging in here. I was like, I'm going to try throwing, some here and there.
You have for sure. You have for sure. Yeah, Clapton and all those, they worship Jeff Beck. For sure. That's amazing. That's a good one, man.
Yeah. Good old blues.
I remember, in the late '60s, Clapton kept going from band to band.
Yeah.
You know, Cream and these other, because he loved the blues so much, and these bands would want to be more rock and rolly or poppy, and he loved the blues. I saw Clapton 07 or 08 in Columbus, and went with my ex-wife and another couple, and Robert Cray opened for him. And Trucks, the guy who played
Derek Trucks?
Derek Trucks was in his band then, was in his band. So I swear in 2 hours they did like 12 songs because they were all these long bluesy numbers.
Yeah.
They didn't do I Shot the Sheriff or
Yeah.
Layla or any of that stuff. They did these long bluesy numbers. And the last 30 to 40 minutes, they brought Robert Cray back out. So it was Robert Cray, Derek Trucks, and Clapton, like in line playing. And I was like in heaven. And the people with me were like, why isn't he playing this and that? Why isn't he, you know, they wanted to hear.
Listen.
Yeah. I said, my God, you're seeing something amazing here. Just
Yeah.
shut up and listen to this.
Especially Derek Trucks. He was like, even as a kid, he was a prodigy.
Have you heard the Tedeschi Trucks Band with Susan Tedeschi?
I have not.
He married Susan Tedeschi, who's a great guitarist, blues guitarist in her own right.
Yeah.
You need to research that.
I mean, I've heard of him.
Yeah, they're
I've never-
amazing. They're really, really good. He's amazing.
Yeah.
She's also amazing.
Yeah. I know you know this one. Straight out of the
Oh yeah,
Jimmy Buffett.
yeah. Oh yeah. Love Buffett.
Yep.
Hated it when he passed away.
Yeah.
I've seen Buffett several times.
Oh, have you?
Oh yeah. Yep. Saw him at Cincinnati 2017, 18. Yeah, he was great. I've seen him several times.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's just something, you know, it's a vibe you get when you go see him, you know. You're not going to get any heavy metal or anything. Everybody's just there to have fun.
It's pretty laid back.
Yeah.
Jimmy Buffett's he was a laid back dude.
And everybody's there just to have a good time. And
Yeah.
the Parrot Heads were, they
Up in
started
force.
they started in Cincinnati.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, it was at River Bend where the name Parrot Heads started. Yep. Yeah, I saw Jimmy in the late '70s too, at Veterans Memorial in Columbus.
Mm-hmm.
And halfway through the show, his stack of speakers fell like into the crowd, and he hopped off the stage to help. Nobody was hurt, thank God.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Because that stuff is heavy.
Oh yeah, I've seen Jimmy several times.
Yeah. Here's one I think it may actually throw you. Jason and the Scorchers.
I remember the name.
Cowpunk. That's what they call that.
I remember the name. I've read about these guys in a book somewhere.
The biggest song on that record is called White Lies. That's the big one off that one.
Who was in this band? I don't have my glasses on.
I don't think they were just like a regular Southern type band.
Yeah, but someone that. What year was this released?
It was in the 80s.
Somebody was influenced by these guys because I read about them in a book.
Yeah.
But I can't remember where. But they've influenced people.
Mm-hmm.
Never heard it though. Jason and the Scorchers, great band.
I mean, it's just funny.
Yeah.
I mean, they come out playing like punk rock. You know, and their guitars are twangy.
Yeah.
You know, and he has this heavy country.
I'm gonna have to check it out.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome.
I want to ask you about what do you think about the how the NBA is nowadays? As in, you know, like your LeBrons and stuff like
Yeah.
that. What's your thoughts on?
It's hard for me to watch because it's all it's not team oriented anymore.
Yep.
You know, everyone's out for their own.
Thanks you.
Yeah,
I've had the same thoughts for it's been quite a few years. Now.
they're all out for their own stats and everything.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to watch.
Yeah.
Of course, all basketball is hard for me to watch nowadays. Like, my last year coach was 2018, and then I was out a couple years, and we hired a new guy, and he asked me to coach, and I like him. He's a really good coach, But I tried to be an assistant for 2 years, and it's
tough,
I
isn't it?
can't do it, man, because I want to do things a certain way, you know. Yeah, everything's different now. We would have team shoes.
Yeah.
No one does that anymore. The coaches don't dress not. You know, I always wore a tie when I coached. It's just simple things like that, but it meant a lot to me. I think you have to have a respect for the game. But the biggest problem with the NBA, and it's like this in baseball and football too, is these guys just jump teams all the time. So you can't develop a loyalty for anybody.
Yeah.
You know, someone throws them money, they go to somebody else. When I was a kid, I knew who was going to be playing for the Cincinnati Reds every year, and I know they're just getting their money, and they were probably mistreated financially back then. But it's hard for me because it's hard to develop a loyalty for anybody.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
And the players are making more than the coaches in the NBA, so the coaches really have no power over anybody.
You know, speaking of that, you know, the whole Los Angeles Lakers deal where they got Bronny. I mean, he's D-League.
Yeah.
You know, he's not that good.
No, and they just did it. They did it for PR.
Yep.
Because people will come. They want to come and watch him play with his dad.
Yeah.
They're trying to appease LeBron.
Yeah.
But no, he's not. I mean, he averaged 3.5 points for USC last year and never even started. And he got drafted by the Lakers.
Was it 55th? He got drafted, I believe.
And it was way too high. Way too high.
I think they pretty could have got him after.
And he seemed like a good kid.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't. But yeah, it's not great. It's hard to watch.
I think the expectations are way too high. Way too high for him.
I like Jokic, who plays for the Nuggets, because he passes it, and you know he's a team player.
And he's good.
No, he's great. And the Celtics were kind of fun to watch because they move the ball around, but
they pass a lot.
The one-on-one, you know, all the kids now want to just catch it and start dribbling between their legs and try to break somebody's ankles, and it's better to work the ball and all that. But
because when I was watching basketball, when I first started watching basketball, I was probably about 12 years old. Well, actually, it was about 11. I was watching Magic Johnson and Larry Bird in college play, which was back in 79 or 78, around that time. And then when they got drafted, it's like, oh, man, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Which was great. Mm-hmm. You know, of course, you know, I was back in a time with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah.
You know, Artis Gilmore. You know,
Loved him.
Dr. J.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Larry Bird.
Phenomenal, unbelievable shooter.
Yeah. Kevin McHale, all those guys.
Oh, my God. Yeah. And that floor, it was fun because I'd watch the games. I was like, man, that floor is ugly as hell. You know, they're at the Garden.
Parquet floor, yeah.
It's like, man, that's ugly as hell.
Yeah.
And then they come out with these god-awful green.
Yeah. Black shoes.
Yeah. But, man, they tore people up.
Oh, yeah.
Tore them up. Because
it was more team-oriented back then, you know.
Yeah.
But we used to, like I said, we used to have like team shoes, which no one does anymore.
Yeah.
I did it because, you know, I didn't want one kid having a $250 pair of shoes and some other guy who couldn't afford them having a $65 pair of shoes.
Yeah.
I wanted us to all look uniform as a team. I didn't want anybody standing out, just as far as what they were wearing. But that way of thinking it's going by the wayside, sadly.
It's a shame.
Yeah,
really, it is.
Yeah,
but you know, I mean, I don't know.
And I don't think I don't think the play is any better now than it was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, some of those teams I had back in the 90s with Craig Kearns and Josh Anderson and all those guys, I believe we could win the league now because we played as a team and we played hard and we didn't do all the...
And they flew.
Yeah.
I remember going and watching a few of the games like, jeez. I mean, they were fast and they could jump.
Yeah.
They could jump.
Yeah. Yeah, we, you know, and when I coached from at McLean, then I came to Paint Valley from 89 to 97. And then they asked me to come back in 2012, and I coached for 7 more years.
Yeah.
And I told the superintendent when they hired me back that second time, I said, listen, I only know one way to do this. So if you don't like it, you probably got the wrong guy. And he said, well, you know, times have changed. And I said, I know times have changed, but just because I did it this way back in the day doesn't mean it was wrong. Right. It can work now. I'm a firm believer that kids haven't changed at all. Parenting has changed.
100%.
Kids can deal with anything. If kids know you love them and care about them, you can rip them and call them names and everything because they know you care about them. So that they don't care. A lot of young coaches now, they say, oh, I don't want to be friends with them. You know, I just want to win games. Or, you know, we're going to do it my way. Well, number one, you have to adapt to your talent. But number two, if you're yelling at kids all the time without them knowing you care, they'll quit listening to you and they'll turn on you.
Yep.
If they know you care about them, they'll do anything for you.
Yeah.
You know, and I can call them names. They know it's not personal. They know I care about them. They know I'm just trying to make them better.
Yeah.
It's not that difficult a concept, but some people don't get it. You know. And the guys I usually got on the most were the guys I cared about the most or thought I could get the most out of, you know.
Yeah. A little bit of push here and there is not going to hurt nobody.
No, kids want to be pushed, you know. Parents want to jump in and save their, not just sports, in the classroom too. They want to step in and save their kid from any type of adversity. What they don't realize is letting that kid deal with the adversity on their own is what builds character. They figure out how to deal with it. You know, hey, they care about me. They're getting on me because they want me to be better, you know?
There's nothing wrong with that.
No. My son played basketball, and God, excuse me, God knows there were times I wanted to say something to the coach, but I stepped back and let him deal with it because I knew it'd benefit him in the long run.
Yep. It's a coach's job.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I don't know. It just, the whole layout, you know, because like I said, I was watching Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, then Michael Jordan come in the league. It was like,
Yeah.
that dude just absolutely murdered.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, you know, he didn't do anything for like his first 5-6 years.
5-6 years, yeah.
I mean, it was only him, to a degree.
And they got Pippen and a couple guys. And,
Yeah. I mean, you got to have a supporting cast.
Yeah.
You know,
you have to.
If you don't have it, you're going to get beat up.
Yeah.
And he got beat up. Them Pistons,
Yeah.
well, beat the hell out of him.
Well, they had the Jordan rules back then.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Pistons had the Jordan rules where when he got it, you double teamed him and did all this. But yeah, Jordan was amazing.
Yes.
Competitor, blah, blah, blah. But when he came into the league, he made it difficult for like high school coaches because every kid wanted to just fly to the basket and try to do some crazy move. Well, they couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Same thing happened with Steph Curry.
Everybody's shooting
20
threes.
years later, every kid thinks they can shoot a 30-footer. Well, they can't. You know what I mean? You gotta, and you gotta teach them that, hey, if you can show me you can make that 3 or 4 out of 10 times, I'll let you shoot it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can't do it. It's a game of percentages.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, I think when he started shooting, and of course, he was doing that in college.
played at Davidson.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they were good.
Yeah.
I mean, but like I said, he'd been doing that for years.
Yeah.
He perfected it
Yeah.
to a degree. I mean, you can't even imagine.
He's amazing. He's amazing. And like I say, kids thought that they could do the same thing. But on the other hand, a lot of kids have become good shooters by watching him. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a win-win, I guess.
But him in the Olympics this summer, jeez.
That's stupid.
When he was double teamed in that final game and took that shot, my Lord.
Just throwing it up.
He's incredible. Incredible.
And what was your thoughts on Kobe when he came out?
Kobe Bryant.
Oh, yeah.
At the beginning, I thought he was just imitating Jordan because he talked like him and everything. And he ended up admitting that he did. Like he loved Michael so much, he ended up talking. But he won me. His competitiveness, how could you not like the guy?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that dude hated to lose.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the beginning, I was questioning him because he was just pretending to be Michael. But then
He actually became Michael.
he became Michael and won like 5 championships or whatever it was.
He was 5.
Yeah, so he won me over.
I mean, but I think, they're constantly comparing Jordan to LeBron and vice versa. It's like,
Different players.
yeah, I mean, honestly, I think Jordan would eat his lunch.
Yeah.
That's just because Jordan's, his mentality, same with Kobe's mentality, would absolutely destroy these teams nowadays.
Yeah.
And you get Larry Bird thrown in there. You know what I mean? You get them type of guys, and Magic Johnson, they're going to absolutely smack. You put them in their prime against the players now in their, their prime.
Yeah.
I think they're crushing.
Yeah. Yeah. LeBron has more of a facilitator attitude. Like he'd rather pass it like in clutch. Michael or Kobe, you couldn't take the damn ball from them. No, they were going to keep it.
Yeah.
They were going to make something happen.
Yeah.
But LeBron's still good, but
Yeah. I mean, longevity means a thing, means something.
yeah. And I think I know players are better athletically now, but that doesn't mean they're better basketball players.
Yeah.
Like Wilt Chamberlain could play today. There's no question in my mind. The dude was an absolute freak.
Yeah.
And it's the same way with now. There's not many people in the '60s that could play today, but he's one of them.
Yeah.
Jerry West, '60s, '70s, he could play today.
Havlicek probably could.
Havlicek, Bill Russell, some of those guys were just so much better than everybody else.
They were long,
Oh yeah.
especially Bill Russell. I never, because you see the old photos of him, man, it looked like his arms are just a mile long.
Well, there's a video of him getting a rebound like in the early '60s and flying up the court and like jumping over a guy and dunking. Yeah, I mean he was a freak.
Yeah.
But yeah, Magic, Larry, those guys could play today. If you don't think they could, you're
They'd smoke 'em.
mistaken.
Yeah. I
They
mean,
were fundamentally sound too.
Yes.
You
What do you think about the WNBA nowadays?
know? I like to watch it. I mean, it's in a lot of ways they're more fundamentally sound than the NBA because they don't rely on athleticism. Like they run plays and they back cut and do all that. I enjoy watching it. Yeah. Yeah, Caitlin Clark, she's fun to watch.
It's a good shooter.
Kelsey Plum, she's fun to watch. The Angel Reese drives me crazy because she doesn't jump.
I don't get
Everything she does is like she doesn't leave her feet ever.
Pardon my French, but it seems like a little half-assed.
Yeah, and I think she works hard, but she has all these rebounds because she's such a terrible shooter. She gets her own rebound after her misses. If you watch the videos, she misses and goes and gets her rebound, which I don't know.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of hooting and hollering right now because Caitlin Clark got like 60, because she won the Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
She got like 66 votes, and one person voted for Angel Reese.
I know. That person is an idiot.
I would agree.
It's not even close. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why they would do that, but they were wrong.
I would agree. It should have been straight out unanimous.
Yeah,
But-
no doubt.
But what can you do?
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm assuming she played for the Chicago Sky, Angel.
Yes.
I'm assuming it's one of those beat writers from Chicago, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I know Stephen A. Smith was talking about she was probably the best basketball player in the league.
Who? Angel Reese? No.
As a rookie.
No.
It's like she's not even close, you know. But
I mean, she works hard, but
Yeah.
she wasn't the best player
no.
as a rookie. No way.
Caitlin pretty much lit that up, right from right out of the box.
Yeah.
I mean, like I say, what she was doing in college.
And she's a great passer, too.
Yeah.
I mean, leader, she's great.
And she's made everybody on her team 10 times better. But, you know, I think they're going to be pretty good next year.
If they get a draft pick that's decent, oh, yeah. Maybe trade for somebody.
Yeah.
They're going to be good.
Yeah.
Because she's a winner. She's going to win,
Yeah.
I think.
There's going to be quite a few championships there in Indiana.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Well, Dave, I appreciate you coming out.
I've enjoyed this, man.
Yes, it was a good time.
I feel like I've left a couple stories in the tank, but I'll probably think of them on the way home.
Well, there's no doubt.
I wish I would have told him about this.
But there's, you know, you never, maybe a next time, you know.
Have me back. I'd love to come back.
Yeah.
This is awesome. I love your setup here, man.
I appreciate that.
It's cool.
Yep. It's just like the flags I have up on the ceiling.
Yeah.
You know, I know people that were in all of them. Just like Dad. Dad was in the Air Force.
Yeah.
Uncle Bobby, he was in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
My daughter, my wife were in the Navy.
Bob Kinnaman I was a little kid when he was in high school.
Yeah.
But the dude was like the Fonz on Happy Days. He had his hair slicked back. Everybody was like, oh, that's a cool guy.
I was going to bring that up because he, I guess Grandma and Grandpa used to get, you know, letters through the mail.
Yeah.
So your son needs to cut his hair, you know. And of course, you know, Bobby, you know, the rebellious spirit that he was.
I was a little kid standing with my dad at the Dairy Queen in Bainbridge.
Yeah.
And Bob was standing in front of the post office with a couple guys. He had a leather jacket on, smoking a cigarette. Looked like a badass, which he was.
Rebel rouser.
Yeah. And some guys drove by in a muscle car and yelled at him. I was 8 years old, and he tossed his cigarette down and looked at him and went, "Come on," like this. And they just drove on like that. And he turned back around, and I thought, man, that guy, he's cool as hell.
Yeah. Yeah, he actually he took me to my first Reds game down in Cincinnati. That's when I got to see the Montreal Expos play.
Yeah.
That's back when Gary Carter and Tim Raines were playing.
Was
for us.
Rusty Staub on that team, or was that before?
It might have been before, but I always remember Gary Carter
Yeah.
and Tim Raines.
Yeah.
Because those guys were the guys.
Yeah. Gary Carter, Hall of Famer.
Yep.
That's awesome.
That was good times back then.
I'm glad you had me, man.
I'm glad you were available to come out, you know, and
Anytime. I'll talk music and sports with anybody.
oh, I love
And
it.
I got more to talk about.
I know you do. Much appreciated,
Thank you,
Dave.
brother.
Yep. Guys, have a good one out there. Be nice to people. Be
Exactly.
kind, you know. So.
Yep.